Hey, how are you? This is Rabbi Bregman. We're going to do this week's Parsha video on the weekly Torah portion from an exotic location, the Bregman family kitchen. How you like that? It's Thursday night. Been away almost all day, coming and going. Just got in, got to go back out. If I don't do the video now, it's not going to happen. So we're on location in a fancy spot. My my camera, which consists of the iPhone out of my pocket, resting on a box of Kleenex, which is leaning against Nescafe coffee. So it's a fancy video equipment. Sometimes people ask me, like, how do you do the setup for the videos? And you see how casual I set it up, and be amazed that we have any subscribers at all. But Baruch Hashem, thank God, everybody tunes in really for the Torah and the inspiration and good advice, not so much for the sophisticated setup. So here we go. From my kitchen to yours. This week's Torah portion, weekly plug for my book, short and sweet on the Parsha, the Torah commentary that I wrote, and some insight. So this week's Torah portion is called Parshas Yisro. The Torah portion of Yisro, we're in the book of Exodus in the Torah, and we're up to the place in the Chumash, in the Torah, where the Jewish people arrive at Mount Sinai. And not only they've arrived, but God's going to give the Torah to the Jewish people, this week's Torah portion. So there's a lot of stuff about Mount Sinai in the Parsha. Now, two insights I want to share here, both short, but I think they speak to me enough that I wrote about them, and I hope they'll speak to you also. The first one has to do with turning inspiration into action, which is a theme that I speak about very much. It applies to life, pursuing success, anything in life, okay? So the verse says in this week's Torah portion, chapter 20, verse 15, the verse says, came home thirsty. The verse says that the people saw and trembled and stood from afar. So the verse is just talking about the Jewish people's reaction to the presence of God at Mount Sinai, at the mountain, at Haazinu. The people saw and they trembled and they stood from afar. Okay, so that's a simple understanding, is what you would think it would mean. But there's a famous rabbi from the 1800s called the Kotzker Rebbe. The Kotzker Rebbe says an interesting idea over here. He says that this verse, let me adjust this by the Nescafe. Okay, that's better. The Kotzker Rebbe says that what you see from here is that this is describing a tendency some people have to feel inspired and not do anything about it. The verse says, in this week's portion, the people saw and trembled, but they stood stood from afar. And he says that's what a lot of people do. They get inspired, they see, they tremble, they're, oh Hashem, oh God, oh spirituality, I'm inspired, I'm going to grow, I'm going to do, and they stay from afar. And that's what I write about over here, that sometimes people see a sight, they feel spiritually moved, but it doesn't change their level or actions at all. They still stand from afar. And that's certainly not the Jewish way. We should turn our inspiration into action. When we see, when we tremble, when we feel, got to do something with it. You don't just still stand from afar and not get involved. So that's one insight I wanted to share with you, that you could share at your Shabbat table or anywhere else this week. One more insight, pardon me, just being authentic. All of the bloggers talk about the authenticity of video blogs and internet and stuff like that. So I guess if I cough all over my camera, that's your authenticity for the night. You can see I'm tired. I often am, but that's life. Okay. Next insight is from chapter 19, verse 13. So only a little bit earlier in this week's Torah portion, there's another verse. And it says over there, upon an extended blast of the Shofar, they may ascend the mountain. So God tells Moses, tell the Jewish people, you're supposed to stay away, don't get too close to the mountain when I give the Jewish people the Torah. But upon an extended blast of the Shofar, tekiah, trua, the Shofar, right? Upon an extended blast of the Shofar, they may ascend the mountain. That's what the verse says. So there's a commentary called the Taam V'Daas, contemporary. He's still alive. Rav Moshe Sternbach Shlita lives in Yerushalayim. He wrote a sefer called the Taam V'Daas, and he writes in Parshas Haazinu, he understands this verse homiletically. The verse says, upon an extended blast of the shofar, they may ascend the mountain. So in other words, he understands this in a metaphorical sense in addition to the literal. He says that no person should say that they don't have the potential to grow or grow in holiness or draw close to God or maximize their potential or they don't have potential. He says all you need is an extended blast of the shofar. In other words, sometimes people get excited and inspired and they'll give a good blast of the shofar, so to speak. They'll have a big Monday or a big January 2 or the first 3 days after Rosh Hashanah. They'll be all, a blast of the shofar. They're, boom, they're into it. And then what happens? It's a blast of the shofar, but it's not an extended blast of the shofar. You have to be consistent. You have to keep showing up again and again and again and again. If you want to grow in Torah scholarship and wisdom or anything else, you got to keep showing up. So this is what I write, that no person should say that they don't have the potential to draw close to God. All it takes, he says, is an extended blast of the shofar. You need to put in the effort continuously, and when you do, you get the other part of the verse that says you may ascend the mountain. So when you want to grow in Torah, spirituality, wisdom, in success, in business, anything, not just to be excited, inspired once, do the homework I give you, things to think about, do it one time. Oh, need an extended blast of the shofar. But if you do, you'll be able to ascend the mountain and be able to get yourself where you want to go. You'll be able to do it. You'll be able to accomplish your goals, even if they seem like a huge mountain in front of you, okay? Anyway, those are 2 quick insights from Short and Sweet on the Parsha, my favorite Torah commentary printed this past year, hopefully yours as well. This is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman of the Jewish Executive Learning Network and BregmanSuccess.com. I am aware I didn't do that regular intro in the beginning, but doing a video in the kitchen and just, whatever. It's all good. Have a great Shabbos, learn well, study well, and we will see you the next time from maybe a different spot in the home. Being authentic. Bye.